Hey, welcome back. I appreciate your time. Like, subscribe, do what you got to do. Most importantly, comment down below. So check this out. This video is about life and death. All right. So life and death and our perception of it. Now, most of the time when you talk about life and when you talk about death, the first thing that's correlated with both are the beginning and the end, right? For the most part, what we assume about death is it is the end of life, right? It is the extinguishment of life. In some cultures, they believe it is a renewal of life, some form of reincarnation. In some cultures, they believe that it is only a transition, right? It's only a barrier, a way to progress you to the next part of the journey, quote unquote. So what I wanted to do is give you guys my definition of life and what we call death, right? And my perception of it. Now, obviously, what I say, I don't deem the ultimate truth. What I do is I vibe with nature. I try to correlate what I think, and in regards to my logic, I try to correlate that with nature. And if it is possible in nature, then that's what it is. It's truth. You see what I'm saying? So my point is that if it's parallel with nature, then it's truth. But if it contradicts nature, then you have an issue. You see what I'm saying? So when it comes to life and death, you see, the thing about it is it's deeper than just living and dying. You see, the act of living and dying is only a physical form, right? It's only a physical thing, right? So, for example, what's actually dying is physical. It's only the body that actually dies away. Because at the end of the day, you know, what makes us as people, what makes my facial expressions, what makes my, my smile, my walk, whatever it is the personality that is within, right? So we all are in an understanding in regards to what makes this thing move is what's inside of it. And so when I say that, I'm not referring to the organs, the livers that function and maintain the existence of this physical perception of what you're seeing. I'm talking about the things that are behind the organs, that are behind the brain. I'm talking about the things that are behind the heart, that are behind the mind. You see what I'm saying? And so we all even know we have something that we call the mind. We call it the mind. You can't see the mind in an x-ray. You can't point out the mind, right? But we all know that we have one. Now, we know that the mind, it is the main anchor to the brain, right? We understand that. And so then we also understand too that the fact that some people call it a soul, some people call it consciousness, some people call it, there's so many different variations of what quote unquote a soul is. But at the end of the day, it's your true essence, your true identity, the real you. At the end of the day, that's what the soul is, right? And so the mind is the personality of that soul, right? So both things that I'm talking about, like I said, we all know about them, right? We all talk about being closed-minded, open-minded. We talk about using the mind all the time. We talk about soulmates. We talk about things like that all the time. Why? Is because these are things that are not tangible, but very real, right? You can't touch the wind, but it's just as real. You see what I'm saying? So my point is that these are the things that make this tick, that make this thing we call the physical tick, right? That's what gives it its personality. That's what personifies me, is the physical form of me, is what personifies me. But we all know that at the end of the day, when this withers away, right, because of old age or sickness, whatever it is, when this withers away and it's either cremated or thrown in a coffin, I'm not there, right? We all know that we're not in those graves. It's just our bodies in those graves. We all understand these things, right? Now, some people, obviously, like I said, some people would assume otherwise. Some people would assume that when you go into the ground, everything of you is in that ground, including your mind or whatever else, that is untangible and that is ethereal. That goes with the body, right? Whatever spiritual, whatever it is, it goes with the body. Some people believe that, right? And that's fine. I mean, you know, obviously you can believe whatever you want, but at the end of the day, my point is that what makes us, nothing that makes us is tangible. Really, what actually makes us is not tangible. It cannot be touched. So who I am, how I am, is something that you cannot touch. You cannot see. All you can do is feel, right? All you can do is feel. Because what you're using for your eyes is for the physical, right? With your eyes, you don't see someone's pain. You see the results of their pain, right? So when someone's crying, you don't see why they're crying. You don't see why they're crying because you can't see into their mind or their soul. You can't see through that. But you see the symbol of pain, which is tears, right? Frowning, right? Postures is kind of slouched or whatever it is. And you can tell somebody's off, right? But all of that is, like I said, is that you are seeing a lot of it. And all that is, it's telling you what that person's emotion is doing, as opposed to you seeing their genuine emotion. And so that, like I said, is not tangible. You cannot see that. All you can do is feel that. That's all you can do with that. Emotion is only felt when you see it. All you're seeing now is the effects of the emotion. All you're seeing is the results of the emotion. Is because you're using your physical translator, so to speak. You see what I'm saying? So my point is that at the end of the day, what makes us is what we call DNA, genetic code, right? That is accumulated and creates a human being in regards to traits, sicknesses, whatever, hang-ups. You got a temper, smile, walk, all that type of shit. It's all within our code, right? Which is our DNA, our genes, whatever, right? But now, the main point I wanted to make in regards to how that correlates to life and death, how your DNA correlates to life and death, is that at the end of the day, death is nothing but an illusion. You see, death is something that someone labels something they don't know. Death is something that someone labels something they don't understand. They call it death because they don't understand. You see what I'm saying? Now, I'm not saying I'm in full understanding of what I'm telling you, but what I do understand is nature. You see what I'm saying? So like I said, that some things, if you correlate it with nature, then you can understand. Or if it's hard to understand, like I said, you have a pillar of logic that it stands with, right? That it stands by. So how this correlates is this. In DNA, who you are is an accumulation of people in your past. You see, who you are is an accumulation of people in your past. You see what I'm saying? That's what your DNA is. It's an accumulation of all the people that had the stronger genetic DNA genes that were able to survive enough to cling on to your DNA ladder of information and code. You understand what I'm saying? The same way, see, because you have to think about it, there's a lot of people in your family, but then some people have really strong traits, right? Like, for example, I'm loud. You see what I'm saying? That's because somewhere down the line in my family, there was somebody that was a loud-spoken person, and that trait is in me now, which now I have inherited that trait of being loud. You see what I'm saying? Of being loud-spoken. When I get excited, my volume raises. There's only certain type of people that are like that. But my point is that that's hereditary, and that's hereditary as much as someone's smile, as much as someone's facial features or physical features. It's hereditary as someone's alcoholism. You know what I'm saying? We know that alcoholism is hereditary, and that's passed down through your DNA. We understand that logic. So the same way you walk, you could walk, you know, you ever heard of something like, you walk just like your uncle. or you walk just like your grandpa, or you laugh just like your grandpa, or you know, all those little things. The only reason why they can pick them up is just because they were alive to see that person act the same way you do. Now, if what we are is not tangible, and at the end of the day, at its essence, it is these DNA and genetic traits, then if these things are passed down to us, how are we to say that where we got it from, those people are quote unquote dead, right? Now, physically, yes, they don't exist because they don't have a physical representation of themselves. But we've already explained the fact that just because something or something that has a physical representation, we know what's controlling that physical representation. It's something that is non-physical, right? So just because you lose the physical aspect of your identity, does that actually mean you are dead? No, I don't think so. It doesn't. Because at the end of the day, like I said, what makes you is not your body, right? What makes you is not your body. What makes you is what actually controls the body. That's what makes you. That's who you are. We all have bodies, but what makes us different is how and who those bodies are, right? So the only way, like I said, that can make, we all don't walk the same. The only reason why we all don't walk the same because we all don't think the same. The reason why we all don't think the same because we are all built with different experiences, right? So what I'm saying is that not only are those experiences soaked in by those people, but then those people will leave their footprint of their experience within you. Whether, like I said, whether it is a personal trait of theirs, whether it's a hobby of theirs, whether it's a fear of theirs, whether it's a phobia, whether it's a sickness, whether it's an addiction, you name it. That's what I'm saying. It's like how you look like your grandfather is the same way that you can have a bad temper like your grandfather. But what we need to understand is that if those are the things that made your grandfather, then how is he dead if those things exist in you? How? How is someone dead if there's a person that walks around that resembles them? How's that person gone? They're not gone. That's my point. That you haven't left. Because at the end of the day, what makes you is what's inside. So if what's inside of you is in someone else that's of you, how does that mean that you're not here anymore? It might not be that person's original physical form, but like I said, it's like if your grandfather dies and then their great-great-great-great-grandson not only looks like them, but then actually laughs like them, walks like them. Spitting image. This is 50 years down the line. My point is how is that grandfather dead if what he consisted of were those personality traits and were those genetic traits and DNA traits, and now 50 years down the line they're the same thing, maybe not 100%, right? Like I said, because it's accumulated of all the other people that you've that are in your past, in your family tree. But like I said, how does that mean though that person's, then if anything, it's like then 50% of them ain't dead. So then how are you dead if 50% of you ain't dead? So that's my point. It's like you can't be 50% dead. You can't be half dead. It's either you're alive or you're dead. But see, what we consider alive is the naive way of looking at it is a heartbeat. I'm talking, I'm walking, like right now I'm alive, right? That's what I'm saying. What my point is that we forget the fact that what controls this doesn't have a heartbeat. What controls this doesn't have, lungs. It doesn't have a core body temperature. It doesn't even have a body. What controls this, all this right here, what controls all this, my smile, my frown, everything, that is something that can't be touched. And that is an accumulation of the people that came before me, which is why we hold our ancestors in such high regard. So this is kind of like an intro, and I'm gonna dig more, I'm gonna dig deeper, but I definitely wanted to kind of throw this out there and let y'all know that as crazy as it sounds, that death really is not real. It's not real. It's not real. Now I don't know where you go. Well, actually, I do know where you go. You go to the people that come after you. That's where you go. That's where you go. I mean, I don't know where else, but I'm just saying, that's one of the ways you go. Because I see people who resemble people that have died already and talk like them, act like them. And like I said, if those people, if that's what made them, and now I'm seeing it now in their seed, right? Or their seed. How are those people really gone? Because I see their personalities and what actually made them tick. I see that present day in their seeds. So death is not only is it not just a illusion, and it's just a speed bump, but like I said, I don't think it's not even a speed bump. It's not a speed bump. If you have kids and descendants, that is one way of immortality, straight up. If you have kids, you have family members, and you know, straight up. If you have family members, period. If you have family members, you have kids. That's immortality. That's immortality at its finest, right? Now, the rest, like I said, it's beyond me. It's beyond me. I'm still trying to get this together. I'm still trying to accept what I have been learning myself. Because a lot of times when you hear this type of stuff, it's not easy to accept it. It's not easy to accept it. But my point is that if you miss a loved one, or or you're still crushed, going through a heavy loss, I'm not saying this just to warm your heart. I'm not saying this to be nice. I'm saying this because I really feel like I really feel like that's what's going on out here. That's what's going on out here. You have to understand that what makes you as a human being is your mind, your soul, and the attributes that are within them. That's what makes your body move, and that's what makes the body move the way we can relate it and associate it to you, the individual. Is because of what's inside that body that is controlling it. And so when the body dies, that intangible thing obviously is not dead, because what's intangible, the wind doesn't die, right? You can't stab the wind. You can't, it's not physical, right? It's not like you can feel it, but I'm just saying it's not physical like that. So the same way with the body, that when a body dies, what's not physical that's in it or around it or whatever, I'd like to assume that is still alive and well, and that is something that is, like I said, it is transferred to our kids, and it's in our family members, and that the best physical representation of that is DNA. That's the closest representation of it. That's the closest kind of correlation that I can think of is DNA. You know, the rest of it, like I said, it's not seen, it's not tangible. You can't put it in the microscope. You can't. You know what I'm saying? So y'all think about it. Figured I'd drop that to you. I'll come out with a few more episodes about it. I'm gonna dig deeper in regards to other civilizations and what they thought about it. You know what I'm saying? But most importantly, I'm gonna go back to the motherland and see what we thought about it before the colonization of the place they call Africa.